Right on time. We are right on time, my friends. Right on time. Welcome, welcome, welcome for this new episode of Learning from the Masters. And today, a special nerdy episode. We're gonna just talk about color theory, like nerds, like art nerds. Because theory is fun, right? Theory is fun. So today we're just gonna talk about, paint tubes. We're gonna talk about different, colors, different kind of pigments, opacity, stuff like that. We're gonna dive in. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. It's gonna be a wild ride in color theory, and I'm gonna try to make it actually extremely simple. So, because color theory, you can take it, it's like a rabbit hole. You can take it as deep as you want. But I'm gonna try to stay at a nice foundation level. Really nice foundation level that's just practical things that you can use then in your own paintings. Just save you some time, simplify your mixes, make your color accuracy sharper, and make your life easier if I can help it. If I can do something about it. Because yeah, I struggled with color theory in my time, and I know how frustrating it is, because it feels like it's unfair. Like musicians, they have all this theory with sevenths and chords and harmonies and all this stuff. And we have basically, oh yeah, you have three primaries. No, first of all, the primary idea, don't even get me started. But we'll try to make a little bit of theory that goes a long way. Because, yeah, let's face it, if we have this little theory, and if some painters can just paint some wonderful things with zero theory, some of them do paint wonderful things with absolutely zero theory, so believe me. It's because visual art is a lot more about intuition. It's a lot more about being, in the moment and just seeing how it looks and, going with the flow. Unlike a musician where you have to hit exactly the right key, the right note, otherwise, everybody can listen that and everybody can hear that the note is not the right note. For a painter, you mix and it's not the right color, but nobody knows because it's on your palette. You just have to pick a different one. Nobody knows, so you can try again, do it again, but it's frustrating to go through that. And maybe if you can hit the right key from the first attempt, maybe it will save you a lot of time, a lot of pain, a lot of frustration. And this is what I'm going to try to do today for you, my friends. Love the newsletter, but not sure how it applies to your color wheel. Well, really, the color wheel comes at the end of the thing. It's more an idea. And yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Hello Finn, hello Cats Gallery, hello everybody, and yeah, let's dive in, shall we? Let's do that. Okay, so yeah, not sure how it applies to your color wheel. The color wheel is mostly there. If you don't know, this is my poster. It's a limited edition. The poster is not edited again, but I still have it because the poster does have an advantage over the rest of the color theories you can find online, is that you have pigments. So in relation to the wheels, you have the pigments. Well, the poster here, you can find it in digital version. So you have exactly the same thing. It's all in the links below if you're interested. And you can print it yourself. You can even have it printed as a poster like that. You have the HD, the full HD version. So the poster is mostly there so that you can locate around the wheel. You locate the right pigments for you. Let's say you have let's say you want to mix the color of this sponge here. Okay, so if you want to paint this kind of green, maybe you want to look for a certain kind of green. Okay, so Well, I have, like, I'm lucky. I have a lot of colors, so maybe this one would go. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you always have to try it out, right? Maybe this one will be kind of true green, so maybe I'll have this one. So this is phthalo green, or they call it Prussian green. They have like different names for the same things. Don't worry about this. But it's PG7. Hold on, I'm gonna add my secondary mic, because when I'm turning my face, you'll have difficulties hearing me. But here I also have like a green earth. Maybe green earth can work. Sorry, I'm plugging the mic, and sorry for the annoying sound. Okay. Here, what do I have? This is also another phthalo green. This is sap green. You know, for green, you have a lot of choice. So the color wheel is mostly there if you don't necessarily know which pigment would be the best in your case, or maybe you don't know what to purchase. Like, you're in the store, you don't know what to purchase to have something like. So you check out around the wheel, and you have like the cinnabar green, oxide, chromium oxide green, phthalo green, as we've seen. You have the green earth, which is here. So you have all the pigments are distributed, so you can know if it's a high chroma, middle chroma, low chroma, and well, okay, this color wheel is a free resource. It has been a free resource for years now, so I hope you have it. If you don't have it, it's just very simple. It's there. Just hold on. It's free on my website. So yeah, the color wheels is more here to orient yourself and understand how things work, and also understand what each pigment, what approximate side of the color wheel is it, and how do you make it. Let's say if you want to make this more blue, what other pigments could be in the range that you want, and stuff like that. It's like a little help to get you going. But in reality, what I'm going to explain today, you can do without any color wheel at all, at any point in your time, except maybe at the end for the nuance. Maybe for the nuance, the color wheel might actually be very helpful. Yeah. So, and one thing that I'm going to say is also, it's like, think of it as a GPS. I'm sure you like using your GPS. I'm sure you like using your, Google Maps or whatever you use as a GPS in your car. But let's say it's the first day at your new job, and you really want to get there on time, take the best road, and you don't know exactly where it is. You're probably gonna use a GPS for sure. You don't want to get the wrong turn or anything. You really want to get this GPS. Next day, maybe you use it as well, just to know if maybe there's a better way to get there. Third day, okay, now you know the road, and like 10 years down the line, well, you go to work every day. You don't need this silly GPS anymore, so fine. I mean, now you know where it is. You don't need this to get there now. Maybe now you change job. You go to a very different realm of colors that you never used before, never explored before. Let's say purple, because I'm sure that you use not enough purple for what's really good for you. You should use more purple in your life. Purple is probably the most underrated color. There's not enough purple in art. There's quite a good amount in this painting that we're going to check out today. But let's say you've never really explored purple somehow in your paintings, and you want to have a painting that's really themed on those lavender tones and magenta purple, all this stuff. Maybe you want to then explore what's happening on this side of the wheel, which pigments would get you there, how do you get more towards the red, how do you get more towards the blue, and what's the, let's say, what's the complementary to purple, and how do you get from one side of the wheel to the complete opposite. Now maybe it's like getting to a new job, a new place. You might want to get your GPS, and you then take your cutter wheels again and check out the road, right? You check out how to get there, and once you get familiar, okay, you can just let it go. And to be perfectly honest, I never used my own resources anymore. Never, like, because it's like I know it all, so that's pretty cool. I mean most of the time I'm gonna figure it out, because whenever I know a pigment that's similar or that has kind of the same vibe, I can assume from there that it's going to react a certain way based on another pigment that so even if I use a brand new pigment, I'm probably gonna just understand it very spontaneously, so I don't necessarily need to go into the theory to get there. But yeah. Where can I buy the cutter chart? So it's all in the links below, and you have a free version, by the way. So first you can just get the free version, and if you want, it's all in the Atelier Figurative Arts website. Amazon. Most of the cutter theory that you find on Amazon is incorrect, so I would not recommend too much. Good evening from South Africa. Glad I caught this live. Hello from California, and California's in the house. Good morning, California. Good morning. I love the. Okay, yeah. All right. So today we explore. We have a journey. Get ready to sail on a journey today, because we talk about this wonderful, wonderful painting. If you are not already aware, in my top 10 list of painters, there's John William Waterhouse, and an absolutely amazing painter. I really love this guy. And today we study this one, Ulysses and the Sirens. Actually, so I'm not going to paint it today. I'm not going to do a master copy or anything. We're mostly going to study the colors. This is what we'll be doing. So these, see, I took some samples of all the colors in this painting that I think really has a lot of chromatic variety. So we're going to explore a wide range of realistic colors, mind you. It's not, you know, those aren't really colors that look realistic, but they are really like the blue is kind of exaggerated, so it's nice. Like we get something to chew on, right? So we're gonna explore this today. We're gonna try to mix. So this is gonna be my challenge. It might take a long time actually. We're gonna explore all these little samples here. So I'm gonna try to mix this one. I'm gonna try to mix this, and this. So this one, guess what? It's the little mountain here in the back. It's pretty cool. Look at how light it feels. It's actually very close to what would be considered a skin tone. Look next to my skin. It looks like a skin tone. But if you look at the real thing, let's zoom in on the digital version. Oops. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. See, it's not that pink actually, but it looks a lot like a very, very bright pink, very magenta-ish. Really cool. I love this, how you see all the texture. Those are all linked in the description. You can also find those resource files, by the way, if you want to download it. It's all on my Patreon, but my Patreon is full access, so it's all everybody can access. I'm just using Patreon as my host for the files, my database basically. But it's free to to download. So you can join the Patreon if you want. Just be an awesome, wonderful person and support the community. But you can also just download this and just study, because there is these are really high quality reproductions, and there is a lot to learn about this. Look at this. Wonderful. You can even see the cracks, which is quite amazing. Amazing to see those cracks here. Nice, nice, nice. Love Waterhouse. Yeah, one of my favorite artists. And you know, look at this. So Ulysses, you know the story, right? You know the story, Ulysses on the Odysseus sailing the Odysseus of like Homer's Odysseus. Sorry, it's hard to pronounce. Pronouncing Greek names in English as a French guy is like a nightmare. But so he's sailing after the Trojan War, and basically he's heard there are the sirens, and maybe you noticed something weird about those sirens based on how educated you are in this Greek mythology. But so basically what they're saying, the legend is that their song, their voices are so enchanting, and that it makes the sailors basically crash their ships on the rocks and they drown. So what he's really smart about it, and he has all his crew members, you know, covering their ears. So they all have their ears covered like that with beeswax, and they plug their ears with the beeswax. So it's not just this wouldn't be kind of sound insulation, but basically they all cover their ears, and next he asked them to just tie him around the masts so that he can't. So that he wanted to hear the song apparently, but he wanted to be not because they would want to lure him under the water. So he asked to be tied to the mast so that it doesn't happen to him. So the sirens, mostly see them as like a lot of. There are different ways to represent them. This is the most, actually I think it's the most accurate, the most traditional, in the spirit of the ancient Greeks. This is how they should be. I mean, I'm not an expert, but this is how they should be, and they shouldn't be like mermaids. Sirens and mermaids are supposed to be are not the same exact thing. You know, those ancient stories, there is a lot of things. So apparently we have traces of, you know, ancient, you know, images of those sirens back in the days, and they used to be part woman, part bird. So this is what we have, those sirens, and yeah, you can hear like the screamer. I love those expressions. It's pretty wild how with just a couple brush strokes he manages to make them extremely expressive and create this kind of. This one is less expressive. It's like trying to be alluring in a way. I don't know how to make a siren song, but this one is kind of it's nice, kind of partly aggressive, you know, in a way, and you know, trying to be charming. You sense the danger, and this one is great as well. You can see like the strength in the throat. So really cool. I love this guy in the back as well, like cute little detail, like the position, the shadow, just a simple suggestion of the guy in the back. Look at this. Really nice painting, really great painting. So the crew, they are all like rowing with their faces, a mix of determination and, you know, well, nothing, because they're, you know, they have their ears covered so they can't hear anything. They see and see. I really like this one. I think this is the best part of the painting. Well, this connection here is really well done, because it's almost like a secondary part of the picture. It's almost like it's not even supposed to be that meaningful, but I really find that this is the key thing, is like they're not just attacking Ulysses. They're trying to get anyone. And so this one, she's trying with this sailor. He's trying to resist, apparently, because he can't hear the song. He's not lured. But I don't know, she's pretty. He might be, so maybe he's tempted. Like, there's this connection, but with just a couple, you know, the cracks kind of hide the expression, but it's extremely simple. It's like he's just looking up like that, and she's just next to him, like like kind of predatory in a way. I really like this. This connection is awesome, with such simplicity of means. So much storytelling is happening here, because it's a kind of a side story. It's kind of a side story of how this siren here failed to lure this guy. So yeah, it's the blah 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 blah, I can't hear you, and yeah. Okay, so talking about Cutter, we're not necessarily going to dive too much in the story. We want to talk about how the artist was capable of mixing this wide variety of cutters, and how you can do that as well. So, well, we'll try to talk about this little strategy that I have. It's right there. Little strategy. If you follow my newsletter, you kind of already know. Just keep in mind that the newsletter sometimes is a little bit more difficult to understand right now, because it's like my emerging idea. And as I move forward, I make it more clear and understandable. And generally, when the video uploads on Friday, it's best version of the idea, it's the clearest version and the best way to explain. Sorry, had to sneeze. Okay, so let's talk about this color theory before we jump into this. So we'll study them individually, but we'll try to study them with method. And my method is the following. It's this one, it's my method. So it has 3 parts. There are 3 parts. It doesn't necessarily mean 3 pigments, but it means at least 3 pigments. That's the minimal amount of paint tubes that you need for any mix is 3, but you can mix more than 3. But ideally you want to get 3. So we have 1, which is the base. It's going to be about 60% of the quantity of paint that you produce to mix a certain color. For example, if you want to mix this one here, 60% of it will be your base. Basically, it's going to be the main body of the paint is going to be composed of this base. And this is where you can have several pigments if you want. Right, you can have several pigments in your base, and generally you have some white in this. For anything that's lighter than 50% gray, you will have some white at some point in one of your mixes. So that's 60%, so the big chunk, but it's not that prevalent in terms of coloring, right? It doesn't make the color what it is exactly. And actually, this is not the one we start with. We start with this one. It's the tone, like in music. See, I told you, like, I regret that we don't have a theory for colors that's just as, you know, as clear as what the musicians have. So the tone is really the main pigment. Simply speaking, it's just the pigment in your paint tube. It's just among all your pigments, it's just the paint tube that's the closest to the color you're trying to go for. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. It's the tone. For example, if you want to mix this one, if you want to mix this, the tone is whatever paint tube is the closest to the hue. Very simple. And for the tone, you really want to have just one. Okay? Hi Flo, it's a great topic. Could we rewatch it again, or will it be available only for members? It will be available for 1 week, and then after that I think I'll archive it for members only. But if it really has great success and like lots of views and everybody loves it, I'll probably keep it for longer. The tone is approximately 30%. Why we do that? Because you can't just oversaturate your mix with just a tone. Well, of course, if the tone is the perfect match, let's say you have a lemon, and you have a lemon yellow that's just perfectly exactly the same by just luck. Luck is on your side, and you have a yellow that's exactly the right kind of tone. That would be extremely lucky, because most of the time you will need to mix. You never, by default, by convention, but also for practical reasons, you never use the pigments pure, straight from the tube. The tone is 30%. And in this case, of course, if the tone is so accurate and such a good, like just straight from the tube, it looks almost exactly the same, maybe you want to use more. Of course, these are just approximations, right? But what do you do then if you want to darken it? Because your lemon has some shadows, has some highlights. Well, this is where you actually need a base anyway. You need a base. The base is going to be also used for darkening, lightening. So you of course you will not use the same base for lightening or for darkening, obviously. So the base will change. If you need to lighten, you make the base lighter. If you need to darken, you make the base darker. But this is where you work. This is where you operate. The tone remain the same. You try to remain the same. Of course, the tone, if the color has a very low tinting strength, you might want to add more than 30%, so maybe 60, 70, whatever. These are just approximations. I think in my final version, I'll probably remove the percentage here. Maybe I'll just say base is a lot of it. This is just a normal amount, and this is just a small amount. Like a lot of paint here, a normal amount of paint here, just whatever is needed, and just a small touch. Please keep this on your channel for longer as your life. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll see. I'll see what I can do, but I also have, the video. Well, that will generally I don't keep the lives because they are just too too long and just people don't watch. Like not a lot of people watch the live streams. Just maybe it's just slow, just too slow going. Like we've been rambling for 30 minutes now, and we haven't gotten anywhere. We haven't even touched paint yet. So the tone is the hue. Yes, exactly. So when dealing with tone, you focus mostly on hue, but not only though, because the tone is a little bit everything, like some, but you want to prioritize the tone. The hue, when you think about the tone, you prioritize the hue. Yes, exactly. The most precise, the whatever, but it doesn't have to. In your paint selection, in all the paint tubes that you have, whatever is at your disposal, whatever is the closest. Doesn't mean that you have to have all these paint tubes, by the way. Whatever is the closest with what you have, simply. And because we have a third pigment, because we also have a base, with 3 pigments, you can always get a lot of, you can always mix anything you want, given that you choose the 3 pigments strategically. So every time they talk about the 3 pigment primary, just know that the 3 pigment idea is not just true for blue, yellow, and red, right? They always teach that. The primary is yellow, it's blue, it's red. No, not necessarily. The primary is any set of 3 pigments that are the starting base of the mix that you're going to create to then try to make your color a certain way. This is what I call the starting primaries. Sorry, the sound is skipping. You tell me if you are annoyed. I don't know. I think my mic is sometimes like peaking. Tell me if you hear something. It's like clipping at some point. So I'm sorry if it's annoying to you. So the notion that there are 3 primaries is incorrect. If you consider that the only primary that are possible are just blue, yellow, and red. This is not true. Blue, yellow, and red can indeed be primaries if you want, but you can also use orange, purple, and green if you want. You can also use orange, yellow, and brown. These are primaries for something like, let's say, I don't know, a skin tone, whatever. Like anytime you try to mix a specific color, you have 3 pigments, at least 3, and those are the starting primaries or your mixing primaries. So the notion of a primary is kind of confusing. It doesn't have to be blue, yellow, and red. And if you say, okay, but I want the best pigments that can make as many colors as possible. So in this case, you're talking about a notion which is the notion of gamut. To make it simple, the notion of gamut is just how many colors you can mix with a set of 3. So how wide is your triangle, right? Let me get this. I'm going on a tangent here. You tell me if I'm boring you to death, please. Ah, man. Okay. New document and yes, so this is the color wheel. So basically the notion of gamut is just, let's say you take a pigment that's one here, so you have one pigment here, one pigment that's here, that's your starting, like straight from the tube it looks like that, and one that's there. So those are your primaries, and the gamut then is this. There is no way that with yellow, purple, and cyan, you can get something that looks like that, right? Because it's outside of the gamut. Of course, the gamut is theoretical, and sometimes it's more like that. Like it's more, you know, like that, let's say. Or sometimes like that. You know, there's a little space between those, and at least it will be impossible to reach this point with those primaries. So this would be primary 1, primary 2, primary 3. Doesn't have to be yellow, blue, and red. Now, if you ask me, what are the best primaries that will allow me to mix as many colors as possible, so with the widest gamut available, just trust whoever is producing printers. They've studied and they know that these are the best primaries. So this is the widest range: yellow, magenta, cyan. These would be your best primaries, but why not have a red as well? Add this to your primary list. Why not have a green as well? Add this to your primary list. Why not have an orange? Why not? I mean, it looks good, right? Why not have a blue? You want a blue. And also you need white, you need black, you need raw umber, you need some other pigments. So those, in this case, those would be your primaries, but every time you mix, you're gonna get the best selection. Let's say you want to get something that would be like that. You want this color here. You want to recreate it. You're gonna pick this primary here. That would be your number 1, that would be your tone. And from there, you want something that's close, maybe this, maybe a red as well. So this would be maybe your base. And then a little bit of an accent. Maybe it's too strong. So maybe you add a touch of whatever. You can, like from this, you're pretty much free to put the nuance wherever you want. The nuance can be anything, depending on where you land. So you first think about your tone and your base, and from there the nuance is pretty much, you can figure it out depending on how it looks. But this is why you need to have a well-balanced palette. And this is where you don't need to have red, yellow, and blue only, because if you want to mix something like that, you will never get it. And as I said, you need to explore the purple range because it's a nice range. All right, so let me remove that. The base can be just white, black, or umber. Exactly. The base is kind of a way to build a lot of body, give body to the paint without being too overwhelming. The goal is not, with the base, the goal is not to, the goal with the base is not to create a specific color. It's more to, build a little bit of thickness and, get some paste so that you have something to hold on to. And then the tone really colors the base. It's better if the base and the tone match and are close. So if you want to simplify your work, whenever you want to mix something, let's say here, try to get a tone, like a tone that would be here. You choose the tone first, choose your tone, let's say quinacridone magenta here, and choose something that's similar, like the let's say Prussian blue. That would be your base. No, it wouldn't be a good base though, because Prussian blue is more like too strong. So your base will have to be something like white. Can be like, it's more like a secondary tone in this case. Prussian blue is too strong to be a base because you can't just add a lot of it. It's going to darken everything and it's going to make things, like if you use 60% Prussian blue, it's going to be a nightmare. So yeah, don't use Prussian blue. It can't be a tone. It's too strong. So this is why strategy matters. Black or umber would desaturate. you don't consider secondaries. What are secondaries? If you don't have primaries, what are secondaries? I don't think that the notion of primary is relevant for what we do in painting. That's what I'm saying. I think the notion of primary is one of the biggest misconceptions. It's kind of art school, like high school level art education. It's a low level notion of understanding, because blue, red and yellow, they do work somehow, but how do you mix that with red, blue and yellow? How do you mix that? And also, like, the range of greens is kind of weak. So yeah, no. And secondaries don't exist if you don't have primaries. I don't think you need primaries. I think what you need is every time you try to aim for a certain color, you then choose some primaries, and they become the primaries of this blend here, this one. And then when you do another mix, you pick other primaries. Every time you choose 3 primaries for each new color. That's all. If you want to call them primaries, fine. I don't call them primaries. I call them, whatever. So yeah, that's how I think. And in my art, and what I recommend to everyone is get pigments that are well spread around the color wheel. So I always say it's the same thing all the time, is get a nice even distribution of pigments that are all around this wheel. So a good red, very bright, very intense red, a good orange also, because it's very helpful, a good yellow, a good green, a good cyan. A lot of people forget about the cyan. Cyan is not the same as blue. Again, cyan, listen to me. Cyan is not the same as blue. It's not light blue. It's not aquamarine. It's not, it's cyan, right? Some people call it turquoise. Maybe I think it's maybe the best way. Like, and also you need a magenta. A strong purple. This is what you get. This is what you need. And of course, white, black, etc. All this stuff. And also some convenient pigments are needed. Because, you have this, but these are so helpful. Why would you not want to have some of these? They're all so helpful. Especially for portrait artists and all. Why would you just waste some valuable, let's say, cadmium red, when you can have like transparent iron oxide? This one, it's my baby. Great color. Why would you not want to have a yellow ochre? It's an absolute beast. Mars yellow, by the way, it's the same. PY 42 is the synthetic version, PY 43. So this one and this one's the natural version. Why would you not want any of these? They're awesome. They're great. With Mars yellow, or yellow ochre as they say, you can mix an almost perfect skin tone in no time. Why would you use a cadmium orange that's extremely expensive with cadmium yellow and with blue? No, just use whatever is the closest. This is the philosophy. Get a nice, decent variety of paint tubes, and then anytime you reach out for your little palette selection, anytime you reach out, just pick whatever is the closest. That's so simple. And that's whatever is the closest. Let's call it your tone. This is your tone. Then you build up, you create the thickness with a base. This is where you're going to do the lightening, the darkening is all going to be done with the base so that you can keep the tone intact, right? You're going to use some kind of almost neutral pigments that can darken or lighten in a neutral manner with the base. This way your tone can remain undisturbed almost, and can keep its vital coloration qualities. So whenever you need to tweak the quantity, the opacity, the transparency, you use the base. You make all the modifications on the base because it's kind of a more neutral ground to work with, and you preserve the tone. You struggled to find exactly what is the closest paint tube to your target. You want to preserve it and cherish this one. It's the central one. And then of course, because the tone in the base is never going to be enough, you always need 3 pigments. You're going to use a little nuance in the end. So again, it's just theory. I'm just talking. I'm just talking, not demonstrating, but I'm going to try to attempt it. Sometimes it's hard, so I don't know if I'm gonna just do the mixing and just dig in all my stuff at the same time while I'm talking. I don't know if I can explain it as well if I start digging in my paint tube and I start mixing. I think I'm gonna lose the words, so which is why I'm explaining like that in a very theoretical manner. Let's say you have those 2 pigments. Let's say you have a quinacridone magenta. This would be your so you want to mix this. Your target is here. This is your target, right? You want this one. You have a quinacridone and you have quinacridone magenta. You have cadmium red, and you're going to use those. This is the closest, so we'll call it the tone, and you'll use the cadmium red as the base. Maybe with something a little bit darker. So you check out what it does, and maybe you need something in the end, because when you mix those 2, it's probably going to give you something like that, a mixing line that's like that. It might be a little bit too strong, so what you need to do is you need to pull it somewhere here in this direction. You want to pull it towards your goal. So in this case, and this is where you look at your color wheel, right? Somebody asked, how does the color wheel relate to this idea? You check out and you see that in this direction here, there's phthalo green. Oh, sounds cool. Phthalo green is here. So in theory, with just a super small touch of this nuance, I can pull this coloring down more towards the gray side. Because if you go through the circle in the middle, you get to the gray zone. You get to the gray zone. It's a miracle, the miracle of color. This is the closest thing we have to the kind of the mathematical nature of music theory. We have this. We have complementaries. Let's try it actually. Let's try it. Let's try it now with so what did we say? We said cadmium red. So I don't have cadmium red. What I'm going to use is the closest that I have. Again, it's always like that. It's always the closest you have. I think I have this one. It's a Pyrrole red. So this is going to be my base, as we said. And my quinacridone. All right. You always start by figuring out, again, just as a reminder, we want to mix this, right? This one. This here. This is what we want. So you always start with the tone and the base, both of them kind of together. What are the two pigments that are the closest? Just simply speaking, just to make your life easier. The base doesn't necessarily have to be very close. It can be anything. It has to be kind of more neutral and less chromatic, less how to say, strong, weaker, a little bit weaker. So yeah, let's try to mix this. So you have a little bit of reflection here. So how could I make it less distracting? My light is reflecting here. How can I remove this light? I kind of need the light. I'm sorry. Maybe if I place it here. Okay, yeah, it's better. All right. So those are the two. This is my tone. This is my base. Because in theory, but maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not quite sure. But whatever. I think. So let's say this would be, I don't want to waste too much of my pigments for nothing, for the sake of explanation though. Maybe I have another one. No, but this one should... I have another one here that I'm gonna use. Sorry. So we have this and my base. I can add a little bit more of this one. 30%, 60%. Of course, in the mix, white is always part of the base, but I never really include it by default. And you first mix the base and the tone to see how it goes. See how the tone somehow dominates, so it pulls more towards the purple side. But I need more of my tone. So you add more tone. Okay, so as we said, because they are quite close, they are too much. First, they are too much in the... I can remove a little just so that you can see better without wasting too much. So I can add more tone. It needs to be close to my tone. So from there, it's a little bit too chromatic compared to what we want. Again, see, we want this here. This is too chromatic. And also, I need to make it a little bit more white. I'm gonna add some white here. See how it goes with white. I'm gonna add the white progressively. So it's still quinacridone magenta, yeah. I'm gonna add the white progressively. So I consider that the white is part of my base, and I add as much as needed until I get a nice tone. But see, and I really be careful with the white. Add it progressively. It's part of your base, so you can tweak when you want. Whenever you want to tweak something, you tweak the base so that you can preserve your tone. Now I get something that's closer to my target. Again, so of course it's a digital image, so it's never really going to be. It's never really going to be that good. I can't remove the, so yeah, I can't really see that well with the lines, but I want to remove the lines, but okay. So now, as we said, we have phthalo green on the other side. So why not add a little phthalo green to just tone it down? Exactly, we have our tone and we want to go in the opposite direction. So yeah, we want to tone it down. But here, I'm going to add a very small quantity of this one, because it's extremely powerful. So a little bit is going to be enough. See, I'm adding a little touch of my phthalo green inside of this thing. And of course, the phthalo green has a tendency to also, so it will make it more gray. It will also darken because it's dark. So you see how it works, and whenever you lose the value or something like that, you add more of your white, you do the base again. You modify with the base, try to even out. And the tone is still the same. The tone is preserved in this. You preserve the tone by playing with the base and the nuance. The base is to build the chunk, build the values, make the most important part of the body of this paint. And the nuance is just to get those subtlety, to nail, to fine tune it. And now we got something that's a lot closer to our goal, right? I can't really judge because it's based on the screen, but we get something very, very similar to what we have on our screen. So the formula is always the same. Base, tone, nuance. Base, tone, nuance. You start by picking your tone. It's the central one. And you find a base that's near and that's a little bit less chromatic. The base has to be slightly less strong than the tone. And from there you mix them both. Then you equalize with white or dark or something to darken. Might be black if you want. If it's a cool color, it might be brown like a burnt umber or something. If it's a warm tone, you equalize the value and you see how it goes. And from there you retouch with a little bit of your nuance to get the nice chroma and finish perfecting the hue. Normally, if you get the theory, nuance will very often be a complement. Exactly. You're totally right, Joy. Exactly. Nuance is very often going to be a complement for one reason that I'm going to explain. I just wanted to try to remove my previous lines, and I'm going to try to... I don't want to remove everything. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's go back to the drawing board. See what it does when you get the mixing line between your two closest pigments. And let's say these are really the two closest pigments that you have. What you have is it in theory it creates a straight line. It's not always the case. In this case it was true. It creates a straight line. So I like to think about this line as the string of a little bow. I like to think about this idea of the bow, because originally your mix is there, so it's the feather of the arrow, and what you want is you want to go in this direction. Basically this line will, if you choose your pigment wisely, the best nuance will almost always be a complement. Almost always, if you choose well. But, you know, sometimes at least it will be a complement of what you have. But you can also as we say, you can also tone down with a gray, very simply. Take some black and white, make a gray, make a neutral gray, just throw it in the mix. That would be also the same effect. However, you have another degree of subtlety if you do it with a complement, and a well-chosen complement. If you go through this theory, and if you understand that to make it less chromatic, it doesn't just have to be a gray, it can also actually be something on the other side here. It's crazy, because what you can also do is you can not mix it perfectly. You don't have to completely blend it on your palette. You can also let it appear. And with your brush, just paint this little stripe of pure green, pure phthalo green in the middle of your magenta purple. That's too strong, but this green is going to rebalance it. It's going to fight against it with a sort of a juxtaposition, not through mixing. So you open up a lot of possibilities with this kind of stuff, a lot of chromatic variety that just doesn't feel the same. Just doesn't feel the same. I don't know if we can spot it in this one, but definitely, well, you can spot some pure traces here. Let me try to find some. Yeah, see those. So this is pretty much a dull light orange, and here you have a dull light blue. So these are complementaries. See those complementaries here? The warm and cool. It's another way of saying complementaries, by the way. In the feathers here, you have some very cool chromatic effects. Oh, look at this. The blue here was too striking within the rocks. So just a pure this kind of cyan blue is complemented with a pure red. Bam, straight up. So of course from there you look at this and like, what's going on here? When you step back, okay, makes perfect sense, because it's a big painting, right? So you have even more freedom to do stuff like that. Here in the waves, you can have a lot of fun playing with these tones. I don't know if they are, yeah, you can see some traces of yellow here. Those traces of the yellow swirling. Let me see. See, there you have some very, see, you want to create something kind of grayish, right? So what you can do is you can make it gray by default, which is what the artist has done here on the left side. This is more like a normal gray, but you can also open up some possibilities by doing exactly the kind of complementary that we've seen. So a kind of a purple magenta and straight up traces of green. What does it do here? It just does its job at killing the magenta, killing the purple with these songs. It's the famous song, by the way. See this opposition. You create it. You neutralize. You have traces of a green here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's intentional, but to complement this this pink here, you use it straight up like that. And if you go back to the wheel, you would have something like that. Of course, here this would be a purple in this range, but a very light and dull version, not as strong as what we had here. We have an extremely strong version, but imagine this, but a lot lighter and a lot more, also a little bit more red, and also a lot more less chromatic already. and you then get exactly the same kind of complement, a dull green, because you get something that's more in this range. The complement is more in this range here. And by the way, a complement doesn't have to be perfect all the time to work, because you have some leeway here. The complement can be this, for example. See, it will still go through the middle. So the theory is kind of we have a lot more flexibility than musicians have with our color theory here. We were really lucky. Is there a way to get subtitles in Spanish for live stream like this? I don't know. I think they are now making new features, but I don't think you can have it during the live. I think you will have to do. You will have to wait. Espera for after. I'm sorry, I know zero Spanish. All right, and the theory doesn't stop there, my friends, because I'm just going to be talking for 2 days. Incredible. The theory doesn't stop there. I can talk about color for... Is it weird, you guys? Is it weird that I can just talk about color and I find it just fascinating? Oh my god, I think we're the same. So I know I can talk about it to you, my friends. I guess you would have to know the tinting strength of your paints. Absolutely. Yeah, you have to know them. You have to know them by heart, which is why normally you have like a list of like 15 to 20. I mean, it's not that hard to understand how they work with a little bit of experience. It's not weird at all. Okay, we're a big family here. We're together in this. This is great. I've learned a lot already. Thank you. Okay, so my friends, this idea of using a base, I think I'm gonna remove the notion of the percentage. I think it's more confusing than anything. I want to just let you know that the base is just a big quantity. The tone is a normal quantity, whatever you consider normal, and the nuance is just a small touch. So this, I think, will be good. In the final document, I think I'll change this. And after that, you also have the order of mixing, because it's a lot better if you can help it, and if you can do that, to mix in a certain order. And this order is very simple. It's extremely easy once you've understood what we said earlier about tone, base. The first thing you do is you focus on the hue. So first you want to get the right hue. So the order of mixing is you take your tone, you take your base, you take 2 pigments in the first step. Here. To get the right hue, you take 2 pigments. One will be your base. One will be your tone. And you try to get as close as possible from the hue of your target. Okay? The base can be 2 pigments, but it can be 1 or more. I'll need to make it more clear, because sometimes you also have to, add the white, add something to darken. But the tone is one tone. But here, of course, there's a little bit. It's like a big paste. The base is a big paste. You build up something. You add the tone to the base. There can be 1 or more. I would generally make almost mandatory is white would be part of the base. Almost mandatory for light colors. So 2 pigments or more, but at least 2, like 2 main pigments. And from these 2, you will try to nail and try to get as close as you can to the hue. You like the percentage, you tend to add way too much tone. Oh yeah, in that case, yeah, if it helps, maybe okay. Yeah, it's just keep in mind it's, you know, it's not like music where you have very mathematical foundations. Here it's more like, yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's less precise, of course. So the first thing you do is, in order, you try to nail the hue, and this is what we did here. Remember, the first thing we tried is to get on this line, to get as close as we can. See, when we mix those 2 pigments that we had, it was, remember, it was those quinacridone, magenta was our tone, the cadmium, no, pyrrole red was our base, and we mixed the 2. So we navigate on this line. Whenever we mix the 2, we navigate on this line here between the 2. And you try to navigate until you get the right hue. Right? This is why it's important to know your pigments really well. And know your color wheel really well. From there, number 2 in order. You then focus on the value. So most of the time it's going to be adding white or dark. I call it dark because it can be black, it can be brown. Don't use black if it's a warm tone. Again, back to the drawing board. Let's say for divide the line like this, approximately, I don't know, warm versus cool. For this entire side, you want brown to darken, and for this side, you want black to darken, or blue. Why not? Or blue. Okay? So this is it. Or a mix of 2, because with blue and brown, you can make black, and this is a very valuable black because you can alternate between warm and cool. So this is what you want, which is why most painters, they don't use ivory black for their black, but they use ultramarine here. You don't use black normally, use ultramarine on one side, and ta-da, and burnt umber on the other side. And look at this miracle. They're complementaries. They're almost perfect complementaries. Not absolutely perfect, but trust me, they're so dark and low tinting strength that they go through the middle. You can create a black that's absolutely gray. Actually, they go like that. They go exactly through the middle. This this drawing board is a nightmare right now. I can't see anything. I'm gonna try to remove my traces because this is a nightmare. Let's go back to the first. Okay, let's go back to much better. It's cleaner. So white or dark. What I recommend for dark is UB plus BU. UB plus BU. Ultramarine blue plus burnt umber. It's the best. Thank you. I learned differently from my friend who made and mixed colors for Winsor and Newton. Wow, that's amazing. Prussian blue and Van Dyke brown for black. Wow, that sounds quite interesting. Prussian blue is strong. Huh. Sounds interesting. I've never tried this. I might need to try it. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay. Interesting. Lamentablemente no hay subtítulos disponibles para los eventos en vivo, solo en la versión reproducida de las demostraciones de arte. Thank you for translating, Rain. It's deep, yeah, I agree. Prussian blue, Van Dyke brown. Van Dyke brown is kind of a weak compared to the Prussian blue, so I wonder how it goes. Wonder how it goes. And finally, yeah, so 1, 2, 3 is done. Finally, you do the chroma, and this is where you find your nuance. And as we said, very often it's going to be a complementary. It doesn't have to be, it can be anything. The nuance is anything. It's just at the end of this process, you look at your color and you think, okay, is it too chromatic? Is it too vivid, or is it not vivid enough? If it's not vivid enough, you might need to bring some more tone. If it's not exactly the right hue, you might need to add a little bit of an accent that will pull in a different direction in the wheel. For example, let's say you end up, so your goal was to get here, but you end up here. Maybe a little touch of, let's say, an orange could be an effective little accent. Maybe a cadmium orange would make it more red, like bring it towards this side of the wheel, like pull it towards, like come here. Like imagine like a little guy is here with a little lasso and saying, hey, come here, and pull, yeah, come here. And the more you add, like closer it gets. You figure it out. You figure it out. All right. So let's do another mix. I'm just gonna clean up this little palette. But if you have any questions, like let me know right while I'm trying to clean up from our previous mix, and we'll try to dive into the mixing exercise, and we'll try to mix those here. We'll try to make them happen. So just cleaning up my little palette here to make space. So yeah, again, jumping on the idea of somebody who was saying they were using too much tone. Yeah, it's a pretty normal thing, don't worry. It's like, it's not necessarily a problem. As I said, if you have, by any luck, a cutter straight from the tube that's exactly the same as your target, by all means, just use it. It's fine. It's just that most of the time it won't happen, but okay, you know, who knows, eventually you might be lucky. Okay, I want to know if this works, because I would also want to use this footage afterwards for the video. So let me see if it works like that. Okay, I can bring it on the side like that. Yes. Why not like that? Okay. Yeah, nice. Okay. But I prefer to do the other colors though. I prefer to do the other side first. Yeah. Okay. Let's mix the green. Yeah, right? It's the green from the hat. Yeah, let's mix the green first. This one on top. Okay. So go back to the drawing board. And if you have no idea where to start, just explore the color wheel. Just remove that. Let's explore the color wheel. We have a green. It's kind of a dullish olive green. So what do we have? We have pigments here. The optimal pigment would be this one, probably cinnabar green from what I can see here. Kind of in this range. Olive green, green earth, phthalo green, yellow shade. But we're kind of getting further away. Then of course we have some yellow, and with the yellow we can use a little bit of everything. We have a choice. It's somewhere in between those two. So our tone will be a green, and we'll try to find a nice base that's maybe something like that. Maybe like a dull yellow, so that we don't have too much to do. Okay, so let's take, I'm gonna try to find with what I have here. I have a green like here, phthalo green yellow shade. This one is more a green that's more on the kind of the cyan side. It's almost like cyan, as you can see, but you also have to try them out, right? Sometimes you have to do like a couple tests, couple samples. Yeah, okay, let's say that my closest green is this. So my tone will be this phthalo. So the phthalo is already kind of a little bit of a brutal tone. Then we have this kind of amber. So with these two, I'm gonna try to do something like that. Right? Let's try it. So again, this is my tone. Always mix the tone first, so I really don't need too much of it. Notably, this is the, I don't have a, maybe I do have another green. I would like to not do it with a phthalo, but if I could avoid it, I would like to not do it with a phthalo. I think I had other greens. Ah, yes, I have this one. It's actually closer. Sorry, let's scratch that. Because I have this chromium oxide green that's actually a lot closer by default. So for the sake of the demonstration, well, you can do it with the phthalos. Just the amount of phthalo here is enough to paint the entire earth. So don't overuse it. Phthalo is very strong. Okay, so I'm putting back the phthalo in the tube where it belongs. Okay, so this is my tone. So not a big quantity is needed. And this is, I'm gonna keep notes, so I'm gonna write it down. This is chromium oxide green. PG 17. What is this? So this will be my chromium oxide. To make it less confusing for the demo, maybe I'll try to find some type of Naples yellow. Sorry, I wanted to use this kind of amber yellow, but so I don't think it fits because it's a blend. There's too much pigments in this. I had Naples yellow a while ago. I hope I can find it. Do you enjoy the paint tube sound effects, or do you want me to cut the mic? If it's your ASMR, I can keep it, but if it's just annoying, you tell me. Now I'll turn it off. Man, where is my Naples yellow? It's never there when you want it. Nope. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to use yellow ochre instead. It's awesome. You like this kind of sound? Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I know you have some weird ASMR. No, but where is it? Actually, oh god. Yeah, you know what? I do have, like, you know, if you think these are a lot of boxes, I do have another one actually, and I think my Naples yellow is in there. So I'm gonna use it. Look at this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is way too much paint tube. Oh, I had this one, by the way. Okay, it's fine. Way too much paint tube. You don't need that many. It's just, I kind of have to try them all for my educational content. So yeah, I'm happy to have them all. It comes in handy, but some of them I think will stay there for years. Aha, there it is. God, my Naples yellow. My baby, look at this. Ugh. I never use it, by the way. I call it my baby, but I never use it. And it shows because it was not even in my main. Can I open it? Can I crank it open? Yes, I can. Gosh. Ta-da! It's finally open. Okay, so this is my tone, this is my base. Okay, so I mixed the two. I mixed the two, right? And I see what it does. See how the Naples yellow is being dominated very nicely. So we get something close, but it still needs to be less green and a lot warmer and also darker. So for my nuance, what I can also add something to the base. Make this base more brown, for example. So I can use a brown, incorporate the brown to my base. It's like Christmas, more paint. Yes, exactly. So yeah, okay. So with our mix, in the theory, so we have something that was here, and the chromium oxide was there. We get something that's too much here, and it would need to go more in this direction. So in theory, for my nuance, I think I could add, just look at this. If the mix is here, theoretically, if I use a touch of red, it should work. Well, let's try it. Let's try it. Maybe it doesn't work. Who knows? But in theory, it should work. Maybe the only problem is that it will not be sufficiently dark. But I think this little touch of red, very small amount, should do just fine. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to incorporate it little by little. It darkens, which is good, and it makes it less green, which is also good. It's almost working as a complementary in this case. It's not technically, green and red are not complementaries, but they're close enough. Can you see how I'm getting there? Getting there. Actually, now it darkens very well. It darkens exactly the right amount, and it's almost like, theoretically, it's almost too good. It's almost like nailed it on the first try, but it's just because the theory is there, right? It's almost like, almost perfect. No, I don't want to brag, but it just needs a little amount of white, because I think that right now I have my tone. Just need a small touch of white, and I think I'm going to be good. And see how easy it is? If you know how to properly navigate the color wheel, it's super easy. actually, it needs a little bit more yellow. So I'm gonna add. See, I'm losing the white is making me lose the quality of this blend. So what I want is more yellow. So I need to lighten again with more of my yellow. And a little bit more of my green, because now I've lost it a little. A little bit more of my tone. Bring it back home. Bring it back home. Now, again, more yellow now. Didn't expect to use this much paint. And a little bit more of this red. It's crazy that it works, but it does work. And there you go, it's dead on. Of course, maybe a little bit more yellow, but you know. I think I lack a little chroma. So with the phthalo green would have been a lot easier. Okay, so maybe, yeah, maybe just a little yellow, a little more yellow. Maybe add a touch of what do I have here? See, now you adjust with little touches here and there if needed. It just needs a little extra step of yellow, that the Naples yellow, it's out of the gamut of the Naples. So it can't get there with the Naples. But it tells you that the tone is there. And it's just too something that the yellow alone can't, the Naples yellow alone can provide. There you go. Perfect match now. Yeah, the white probably killed the chroma. I should not. Actually, you know, the Naples yellow has already a lot of white in it. Basically, Naples yellow is yellow and white. That's all it is. It has a fancy name, but it's not a pigment on its own. And this paint tube is very dirty, so my hands are super dirty right now because of this mess. All right, now let me clean this and we'll do which one? The yellow is kind of easy though, because it's just mainly yellow ochre. I think it's just super straightforward. Maybe this kind of brown, or maybe something from the other side. Maybe something on this side here. I don't know. Which one do we do? Which one? It needs to be interesting for the video though. All right, so let me clean up again and we'll be ready for another one. Can we do that light pink? Yes, we can. Sure. Absolutely. So, actually, no. Can you do that light pink? Just give me your top 2 pigments that you would start with. One is a base, so it can be kind of something like a white, and one is the tone. So it has to be a color that's similar to this pink. I don't know if the pink is a good idea though for the needs of my demonstration yeah, red and white. I think most people will do red and white pretty easily. I wanted to do something more tricky. I wanted to do something more tricky, guys. I don't know, this pink is maybe a little bit too easy. Most people know how to mix this, and it's, yeah, mostly white again. I think it's too close to, yeah. What do you think? It's important to know how to mix it, but you know, I can do that very easily. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do just right now, but I'm probably not gonna keep it for the video, because right now, if you don't know, I'm also recording footage for the video at the same time. So I'm live recording in a way. Okay, where's my red here? Back to the bat cave. With a very small amount, I think we can make the demonstrations. I think it's gonna be almost dead on already. Like, this is the same red as before. It's a little bit more red. A little bit more of this, and you know, we're pretty close here already. It's not a lot of nuance needed, but a little bit of nuance is needed, and I would say a little bit of an orange nuance. So a very small touch of a, let's say, a cadmium yellow here would be fine. Just a small amount, and I think it would make it, but see how it's very, very strong now. I might need to balance it again. Actually, no, it works, but okay. A little bit more, but I'm gonna need more white to balance and even it out. But now we are more in the right tone. So, okay. Yeah, okay. It was a little bit more complex than I thought. So, that's good. So, the white again. Again, when we think about the white, we think about the base. Of course. So, we have all these 3 here. Cadmium orange, pyrrole red. So, tone, nuance, and base. Very easy. Gee, I've got paint all over the place. These old tubes are so messy. Okay, yeah, there you go. Tone. Let's put them in order. Tone, base, nuance. Tone, base, nuance. You pick up tone and base first. First, you think about both of them, the tone and the base, and then you add this little extra of the nuance, just to perfect it and nail it. Here, the nuance was needed because we couldn't reach the right hue without it. The reddish brown looks tricky to me. Okay, so we're gonna do the reddish brown. Yes, good. There's a lot more complexity in brown than what one might expect. So it's definitely a good thing. So back to the cleaning, back to cleaning again, and we'll be right there. The dark colors, they can indeed be tricky, yes. Because most of the time like an untrained eye doesn't naturally see the subtleties in, let's say, a brown. Like a lot of people don't know that as a starter, a brown is a dark orange. Like if you say, give me that dark orange, people will just try to look for an orange, but it's just brown. Brown is dark orange. It's just plain and simple. So when you have a very reddish brown, it goes out of the natural range of brown, so it would be a different color, maybe a maroon, something like that. In French, we also have the word pourpre, which has been, I don't know, the translation is not purple, but it's the same root, but for us it's a very different color. It's like, it's almost, I don't know, it's undescribable. Very hard to describe colors, which is why you can see here, for example, I don't bother naming those colors. I don't say, oh, this is lavender, this is olive, this is lilac. No, this goes nowhere. Like naming colors individually doesn't go anywhere. You don't need that. Yeah. Okay. Let's go for this one again. So we said this one, this one here. Yeah. Yes. I think it's the most complex of the two. It's you know what? It's part of those bird feathers, and when you look at how it was created optically, look at the complexity in those browns. It's insane how it goes and it creates the chromatic nuances create those textures. So very, very interesting. All right, so let me just prepare this little palette, and we'll be ready to go. Okay. A little bit of cleaning, and yes. So what do we know about brown, guys? Outside of the fact that brown is some type of dull and dark orange. This one we are mixing. Go back to the drawing board. See, it's been helpful, right? I hope you understand how to navigate now. So, brown. Luckily, we have a whole bunch of browns in this range. This Mars red here, for example, looks very much like what we have, right? So, but I don't think I have it here in my, I don't think I have some, I can look for it, but I can't guarantee that I have it. That would be our ideal tonic. Although what we can do is we can just use whatever we have available. You know what we're going to do is going to be better than that. we're gonna say, oh man, purple lake. Got some purple lake here. It's just too close. We're gonna try to find pigments that are not really that close from the initial target. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some of my go-to colors because I recommend them. And because I recommend them, I'm gonna assume that if you follow what I recommend, you probably have gotten them now. And I think that for my, where is it? Where's my baby? Yes, here it is. So I think that for these two, I'm gonna go for this, my burnt umber, my baby, and my quinacridone, my other baby. So these two are gonna be my go-to. So the burnt umber is somewhere. The burnt umber is somewhere here. And the quinacridone rose is somewhere here. And we're looking for something very dark and kind of low chroma, somewhere around here, maybe, I don't know, like a dark reddish brown. So let's try that. Burnt umber, my favorite, yeah. So this one is my tone, because this, even though it doesn't look like it here, it looks like it's more brown, but just because it's dark doesn't mean that the chromatic presence comes from here. It's brown because it's mostly made out of something dark. There is a lot of dark in this, so like this can be my 60%, right? But there is an underlying nuance that pulls this more towards the red that I don't have here. And this is this chromatic presence that I think represents my tone. And I think this is going to be a much better tone. It's further away, it's much further away. It doesn't look like the tone really. The tone doesn't have to be, I think the base here is closer to the tone, but still the tone has this defining quality. And because we can add a lot of the base in this case, we can add a lot of burnt umber with no problem at all, because it's going to be working really well in this. So 60%. So almost like 60%, 30%, yeah, okay. And we mix that. First, we mix the base and the tone, and we see how it works. And we have a brown with a lot of chromatic quality. See how it's almost transparent? And it's vibrating. I like that we have this because you can see the same kind of presence here in those very rich, but very almost like translucency here that you have. You have a lot of these qualities here. Very reminiscent of this. We have the same kind of vibe. However, we're still trying to go for something a lot more, light. So here in this case, just need to lighten with a touch of white. So I'm going to say that the white is simply incorporated to my base. And I'm going very progressively until I reach the right value. I think that I can get something approaching here. With brown, you have a little bit more a little bit more room for exploration in the highly chromatic, very vibrant undertones, because there might be a very strong undertone, but just because it's a strong undertone doesn't mean that it's going to be disturbing. Here in this case, you can see I think it's pretty much good. I think it's still a little bit darker than what I want. I mean, at least on my screen, I don't see exactly the same on in my preview screen. I don't see the same. I see something more vibrant here than what I have. So you can explore a little bit more with this, but if you want to lower the chroma, why not? Why not add very, very simply? The simplest way. You don't need to go into some complex theory in this case to darken a simple color like this one. Let's just add black and white, because really it is this simple. So let me just grab some black here, Mars black. And white. Just bring down the chromatic potential of this. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to just finish with a little bit more burnt umber, just to equalize. I'm bringing back some of my base here, just to give it some more core. And I think now I've got something more neutral. I think I've lost it, although I think I need a little bit more of this nuance, because I still think it's going to be a great addition. So a little bit more of my tone. I think I've lost the plot as I went. Just need to be slightly lighter, and should be good to go after that. You can play with the variety of this pinkish undertone if you want. There's a lot of exploration that can be done. So there it is, dead on. But don't forget that when it is part of the bigger context of the painting, don't forget that those undertonal qualities will just look perfect. See how it almost looks purple-ish here? It's because of those magenta notes. These notes, these undertones, when they pick up with the white, they move back up in the layers, and you can see them here, and they have this very distinct purple-ish qualities. It's not just brown, right? And here it's not just a normal brown, it's a brown with a very deep red, orange, even pink quality. And here you have those vibrant hues very distinctly visible here in this case. Bro, give me the olive leftover. I'll make a landscape real quick. Yeah. Imagine what if you collect all the leftover paint that I have and create some pretty cool stuff. Okay, and yeah, let's do the deep blue, and I think we'll be set. Where do you find high quality pictures of paintings like this? On Wikimedia Commons. Wikimedia Commons, sorry. Or Google Arts and Picture, or Google Arts and Culture website as well. It's also a good source. You have the Met also shares their paintings. Okay, let's try some, for this one, let's try some Prussian blue. Because Prussian blue is fun. If I can find some, by the way. Yes, Prussian blue. Let's try some Prussian blue for this one. So this would be my tone. I think it matches very well. My base is pretty much going to be black and white. Black or white, I don't know. I think the Prussian blue out of the tube is going to be way darker than that, so I might need some white. And from there we'll see. We'll see how it goes with just the Prussian blue. So this will be my tone. I think might be very close from the get-go, but see how intense and deep it is. Like the default color of this is so now a little bit of white, but actually I have some already. It's here. So here the base is really not a lot, so I'm gonna add it progressively. So the Prussian blue is very strong pigment, so here it's very too chromatic, so I'm gonna add some black to darken it, make it also more greenish. I'm gonna have this kind of greenish quality, and I'm gonna keep adding the white to my base. Basically the white is part of my base, and the black is just to neutralize the chroma. How do I look? I'm still too dark. Almost there, but I think that it's too green. So I would want as my accent a small touch of a red, just a small touch. So I'm gonna add this rose madder. First time I use this one. Rose madder lake. But look, it's a very, very small amount. Because actually I don't think I need much. Just a little bit more maybe. Ouch. Now I'm getting more towards the more purplish range. I'm pulling it back towards the purple. Gonna add a little bit more, and with white. I'm also mixing the base at the same time as my accent. There's no specific order, but it's like thinking about it in a specific order. Well, you can keep your leftover paint here for a while like that, definitely. Generally, right now I don't think I'm gonna need some of these, but typically I generally find a use for them the next day. There's always a way to make a brown out of any random mix of a bunch of pigments. So if you don't know what to do with it, there's always a way to find a way to make a sort of a gray brown, and you can make lots of stuff with this stuff. So there you go. Prussian blue, it was still too green. It was a little too green. So the little touch of red helped. Paint and ink don't always match up. Yeah, definitely. It's because of the surface. The appearance of the surface is just not the same vibe. But that's close enough that I could use it. And remember that it's like one little selection from a whole thing. So you have a lot of variety, a lot of nuance. So in theory, you don't have to be this, this picky about, nailing it exactly. You can play with this stuff. It's actually, now that I look at it in the real painting, in the context, it's a lot more cyan than what I have here. I made it more purplish, but there's a bit of both. And what's cool is that by understanding those nuance, base and tone kind of ideas, instead, and this is the big idea, instead of mixing it all like that, what you can do is you can also separate your base, tone, and nuance and make, let's say, see, the base is here, it's the white, the tone is the phthalo blue here, separated almost, and the nuance here, the little touch of red. And you can separate them in brushstrokes. So basically, instead of mixing it all at once, you can also separate them. The cool thing about these is that they don't have to be mixed. They can also be juxtaposed if you want. They can also be juxtaposed. This is this idea transposes even beyond mixing. So I call this color mixing theory, but it's really theory of color in general, regardless of mixing. Mixing is not mandatory. Question, do you ever factor in colors drying to a darker shade when finished? No, it's not supposed to happen. No. So no, it's you do that only if you paint with gouache or some kind of weird acrylic, like low quality acrylics maybe. With oil paint it doesn't happen. Some colors dry matte, but the matte is just a temporary kind of thing, and you can always bring it back to its shiny state with what we call oiling out. So no. That red is a lovely nail polish shade too. Yeah, it is. Like, you have lots of, you want to polish your nails with this, you can technically. It's pretty much the same. It's just drying time is slightly longer. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Ah, man. But this was a fun one. I always love nerding out about colors, so I've just loved this. Just sitting back, relaxed, chatting with you guys, enjoying the company, and just mixing colors on my lap. This is awesome. This is awesome. Look, it's my little device that I'm using here to mix my colors, like my mini palette that I have. I just place it under my camera. It just makes my life much easier. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. It was really, really cool. A cool vibe, the kind of vibe that I like. So it's gonna be a cool video. I hope you'll watch it on Friday. Friday's video is gonna be just what we've learned here, but compacted and made easily digestible, with a cool, catchy title and thumbnail for the YouTube views, and from there, like, the rest is history. My friends, thank you so much for watching. It was a great pleasure being with you, and yeah, as always, joy, inspiration, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for sticking around. Leave a like before you go. It's important so that YouTube knows that this video is interesting to you. And that's it for me. I'm signing off right now, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't miss the video on Friday. All right, Friday, make sure you're there. And bye-bye, everybody. See you.